So I'm delighted to get this kicked off and introduce you to our first Gear Up Professional of the Year awardee, April Gung, from the Gear Up program at Metro Nashville Public Schools in Tennessee. Give her a round of applause. Whoa, I'm still, I got things to say about April. You know, she's a nationally certified school counselor, and through her years of Gear Up, she has really distinguished herself as a Gear Up specialist and Gear Up coordinator with Maplewood High School. In the nomination that was submitted on behalf of April, her colleagues said, quote, "April is what is best about Gear Up," right? When the students that she was serving were just really struggling with remote learning, the effects of the pandemic, April found ways to alleviate anxiety and isolation through a lot of innovation. When her Gear Up students were really suffering, she found ways to leverage social emotional lessons and strategies into remote learning, found ways to engage the disengaged students in Gear Up. She's taken extraordinary steps to support her Gear Up students as they transition both back into in-person learning, but she's also helped cultivate and create these partnerships designed to support English language learners, and she's been recognized as a key driver of the college-going culture in her high school. And the fact that she was like the go-to person on evaluation, that's a huge plus to us too. We respect that like crazy. I am personally astounded that, like, if you played APR bingo, are you guys familiar with the APR, the Annual Performance Report? Gear Up? Okay, it's a really nerdy joke I'm gonna make here, so maybe some of you will. If you played APR bingo, she would win, right? She personally led 90 different Gear Up activities in this school this year, all right? It's truly amazing stuff. So please, join me in welcoming our first 2022 Gear Up Professional of the Year, April Gung. Perfect. Here.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'll be real for a minute and just admit that being up on stage and especially seeing these screens kind of takes me back to those imposter syndrome feelings that I had back as an undergrad. I was a first-generation high school graduate and college student at Rice University. So shout out to Gear Up Texas. I'll claim you by extension, wherever you are. But I just admit this because when I look out across the room or when I was reading the program with some of the amazing sessions planned by our extended Gear Up family, I was immensely grateful for this honor, but also well aware of the company I keep and how many others should be up on this stage. So, but now for gratitude. So I first wanted to say thank you to NCCEP for their generous selection and for honestly even offering us awards. I think those of us that have been in education know that those of us on the front lines don't always get much public recognition, so I just appreciate that we even have this opportunity. I want to thank my husband, who has always been valued the life purpose I find in this work, and for my kids who, no matter how young they are, know how seriously my upbringing leads me to take that old quote that we lift as we climb. And then, of course, I want to give a huge shout out to our Gear Up Nashville team right here in the middle, Metro Nashville Public Schools teams, and Maplewood High School teams, especially JP Gray, our Gear Up Nashville director, and our newly minted Dr. Sonia Brooks, executive principal at Maplewood High School. Honestly, everyone, they have given me trust and support to dream big in how I envision this work. And they've given me a lot of freedom and latitude to do it in an educational setting where we know many of our teachers feel increasingly restricted in how they do their work. So I am really grateful for that. And then I have to thank a huge number of Nashville community partners for their teamwork, their patience with my polite persistence in reeling them in for a myriad number of student initiatives. And then, of course, mostly my students who as you all know, humble us every day with their resilience, their candor, and their vulnerability in letting me walk with them daily through some really, really hard lifetimes. I am not going to preach to the choir today because I'm in a room full of people that know their why and work hard for students every day. So I'm just going to leave you with a couple of quotes that inspire and sometimes convict me in the work that I do. One is from the late and great Toni Morrison. When a child walks in the room, your child or anyone else's, do your eyes light up? Because that's what they're looking for. Now, we all know the transformative power of relationship, but I think when we're in a quantitative, data-driven world and we're juggling various grant requirements on a limited time frame, that for me, it's a reminder to pause and truly just see the humanity in each student that comes across, my room. They remind me regularly how much they long to just be seen. And then 2 is a Deepak Chopra quote. So if a child is poor in math but good at tennis, most people would hire a math tutor. I would rather hire a tennis coach. Now, this is not to downplay that what we know personally or from the research, what it shows about the importance of academic readiness, right? But for me, it's a reminder in this deficit-minded educational sphere of standardized testing and achievement gaps that what I prefer to call opportunity gaps are very real, that I still need to center my work on identifying and cultivating student strengths and assets. We started a leadership group this spring where I told teachers, frankly, I don't want nominations of our students with 4.0s and they're already on the student council. I want students who, they may drive that teacher crazy, but are bold enough to argue a point to death. Or those who are real quiet in the room, but somehow when the classroom is raucous with a substitute teacher, they still somehow get their work done. Or those who their peers follow, even if right now it's not for something good. Those are those transferable skills and strengths that we may not always call leadership potential, but that I wanted to cultivate. And then last but not least, a quote from Marian Wright Edelman, who I was blessed to have as a personal mentor early in my career. You just need to be a flea against injustice. Enough committed fleas fighting strategically can make even the biggest dog uncomfortable and transform even the biggest nation. So my student leadership group spoke this spring about the grappling with hope versus optimism and how soul-crushing it can be to hold on to hope and advocate for change in a world of gentrification and displacement, food insecurity, gerrymandering, and racism embedded in CRT debates that don't include student voice. So when I get overwhelmed and tired, this quote reminds me to be persistent and that sometimes I just need to find the next best step forward when the problem seems too big. So while it's not the prettiest or the most profound image to leave you with, as you go through the next 2 days of sessions around this conference theme of Atlas for Opportunity, I just encourage us all to keep sharing and finding ways to be a flea against injustice in our work with students. Thank you all for the collective energy and urgency you bring to the conference, to this work. Thanks again to everyone mentioned for this honor, and good luck in whatever your next best step may be. Thank you.